Welcome to the Pen Leader Podcast, where strategic leaders get straight to the topics, strengthening our awareness and sharpening our minds. The Pen Leader Podcast is produced by Roar, a production division of Mays & Associates Ltd. Find out more at www.maysassociatesltd.com. Now here is your award-winning host, Dr. Shanda Gore.
And welcome back to the Pen Leader Podcast. Today we're going to be talking Beyond Skin Deep. And I have with me Dr. Hope Mitchell, who is an Ohio board-certified medical and cosmetic dermatologist and the founder and CEO of Mitchell Dermatology. She has more than 30 years of experience in the medical field, and she's an accomplished, highly qualified dermatologist and entrepreneur. She has a number of interests, which we're going to get into, but she's been featured in several media outlets, including Women's Health Magazine, Good Housekeeping, Allure, Essence, InStyle, Martha Stewart, Self, GMA, and has been a speaker for Google and TEDx, which is just fantastic. She proudly serves as an executive board as the vice chair and the director of research for the National Medical Association Dermatology Section and is the director of the MD Gap Year and Summer Internship Programs. Amazing bio, and there's just so much more, but I want to welcome Dr. Hope Mitchell. Hello, Hope.
Hello, Shanda. Thank you so much for thinking of me and inviting me to be on the podcast today.
Yes, thank you. I'm first going to start off with, what is your passion? You have so much going on and you do so much work out in the community and nationally. What's your passion?
I have several, but what really pulls at my heartstrings is giving back to the younger generation that wants to pursue medicine. I'm very passionate about being a mentor to those students. It started out with me wanting to mentor mainly those that want to pursue dermatology. But as I did that, I really understood the need for educating young people about going beyond college and considering the medical field. And once I figured out the importance there, right, because we can't get to dermatology if we don't go back deeper into the pipeline, right, and encourage and expose those students that are even in high school and college to the medical field. And so for me, it is exposing, it is empowering with information, teaching the younger generation about medicine. Mm-hmm. Consider it, a field that some have considered and some have not considered.
And that's maybe barriers of information. What do you think, or why do you think that is?
I think it could be barriers of information. I'm still meeting a lot of first generation medicine or doctors, right? So I'm still seeing a lot of our doctors who are graduating from medical school who are first generation, right? And so I think that some of it could be exposure. I just never thought about it. No one's ever introduced me to the field. And so therefore, I haven't thought about it. There are some young people who will say, oh, it takes forever to become a doctor. And although I quickly thought about it, I dismissed it because I don't want to stay in school that long. And I think just unpacking that for students will help them understand that a year goes by so quickly. Before you know it, you've completed 4. And then 5. And if you are interested in medicine, you have many years that you can practice in that medical field of choice. And so I think helping young people to understand that helps them to consider at least pursuing medicine.
Mm-hmm. So it sounds like this is a combination of not having the exposure and understanding of the length of time and how fast it goes, but also that understanding that it has payback too.
It does. It really, I didn't have the exposure that I have given to others. And as a leader, I tell all of my mentees, I want them to be better than me as I serve and I teach, and I hope that they will pay back as well. That is something that I think has been a huge barrier in the community that I serve, which tends to be the underrepresented in medicine community. So the minorities that are not represented. And I think that the more that we understand that this is doable, right? So
yes.
You can show them, right? You can tell them, you can explain, but really being exposed and being with me in my practice. A lot of students will come and shadow. If it's for a month, they stay connected, a summer, or they may spend a whole year with me, depending upon their availability. And I think that what they've always said is, I just didn't know. And just think about, even as adults, how frustrating it is when we miss an opportunity because we didn't know, right?
That's exactly right. And that goes to my next question, because you have mentored and led in this area of mentoring. I've watched you do this work, and you don't just take them to your practice. You're out and about. We were actually at a wedding reception, and you had a mentee with you.
I did. She was a mentee that I met after her first year of medical school. I partnered with a program called Nth Dimensions, and it is a longitudinal program. And this is really important, right? Mentorship is, it can be multifaceted. It can be, I just have a question, or can you take a look at my resume? Or it can be, can you be my mentor and help me through this entire journey called life in the medical field? And so we were partnered, and long story short, through 3 years of medical school, I watched her grow, right? She worked with me in my office. She shadowed with me, and I even hooded her at her medical school graduation. She asked me to do that.
How special is that?
And so that was so special. We still stay connected. And, mentorship is a two-way street. And so there are many areas that she has helped me in as well, right? This thing called technology, right?
Yes.
I have to be taught, right? We have to be relatable and relevant. In order to stay relatable and relevant, we have to understand the younger generation, right? And so she has taught me a lot, and I have taught her a lot. And so that's another thing that I love about mentorship, is that two-way street.
So the characteristics when you choose a mentor, and it sounds like you were matched up in this great program, what are the characteristics are you looking for a solid mentee match?
That's a loaded question.
I had to ask it.
It's a great question. I have two schools of thought. One is, I am a fan of the underdog, right? And so there are applications that we look at and we say they could really benefit from my help, right? And then there are applications that you look at and you say they're going to be just fine, right? They've got a lot of the boxes checked, and me not mentoring them or this program not accepting them, they're going to be fine. But there are those that touch my heart, and I say they just need to be mentored, right? They need someone that can teach them, guide them. They need to be taught how to be teachable, right? They need to, in terms of, compassion, ethics, all of those things, they need me. But in all things considered, I am looking for the ones that seem to take initiative, right? The ones that want to be developed, the ones that you can tell they have put in the effort, right? And they've put in the work, and they've thought about things, right? And so through applications and interview processes, where I'm able to discern that, right? So we definitely want someone who's teachable. We want someone who wants it, who gets it, right? So they have to have some skin in the game also.
To me, those are great qualities that any leader should have, that is continuing to learn, wanting to learn. You just self-identify that you also are learning.
I am.
From the mentee. And so that says a lot about your leadership style and your expectations. So you would want that mentee to also want that, a constant source of desire to learn.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Can you talk to some of the challenges you've seen? There's a lot of trending that's going on, especially with healthcare disparity. We've heard about things like social determinants of health, and but there's also this whole other element of those that they have exposure, they have the access to the healthcare system. It's not one of the determinants, but it's actually some other barriers that are happening, and nothing to do with finances, has nothing to do where they live or have they had a meal that day. But do you see trends, and what do trends look like right now in the medical?
So if you're talking about the actual student, themselves, I think that their confidence, that would be one. I have met students that just don't quite believe in themselves, that they can do it. I was fortunate enough as I grew up, there was nothing I couldn't accomplish according to my mother, right?
That's great support.
We don't always have that. Myself as a mentor, I think when you look on the outside and you look at me, you think that everything has always been great, right? So I decided to do this and I did it, right? And I didn't have challenges myself. And I think as a mentor, what I do for my mentees is I unpack that. I unpack the fact that I didn't pass, my step 1 or step 2 or step 3 exam, the final licensing, that I had to repeat the medical college admission test or the MCAT, right? That I was told no, that I didn't always receive the grades that I had hoped for, right? But when you are in that position and no one still tells you you can, right? Where is that confidence? And so I think as a mentor, I try to do that as well. Talk about when I was feeling rejected, right? When I was told no, or I couldn't do it, or it wasn't possible. So I think that for me, I really empower with confidence. It takes us a very long way. And in the medical field, we will be told no, right? We will be made to feel like there's something that we can't conquer. That's normal. So when we receive that feeling, we need to be able to talk to someone to help us through that.
Sounds like not only from where you see it from a mentee coming in the door, but it's probably with patients that are coming in the door too. You may have experienced, and I'm guessing, but you'll have to confirm this or not. Do you see patients that are just not sure or confident in even their own health care?
Because I see patients that have been told there's nothing we can do for you, right? I've seen patients that have, felt as though they have not been heard. Absolutely. That is also a passion of mine, being able to empower my patients with information so that they can participate in shared decision making, so that they truly can give informed consent. It is so important to me as a dermatologist that when I meet patients, we do go over the diagnosis, we go over treatment options, the pros and cons. We hear them, we ask if they have questions, because by the end of the appointment, I want to hear from them. I want to hear. And many of my patients feel empowered, and the confidence is built through understanding what is going on with them and being able to participate in the decision-making process. That's anything in life, right? None of us want to have to make a decision and not understand what our options are.
That's right.
It's finances, it's health and wellness, it's everything that we do.
As leader, again, yourself as a leader in this field, you're also hoping and trying to develop leaders of patients, you being a leader of your own, not diagnosis, but your own healthcare, so you can advocate for yourself. So it sounds like you're also teaching your patients the tools, to get the tools to say, you should really think about these options. Here's a tool and you should ask this. And, is there something further? It just feels like that whole element of care that you're talking
Absolutely.
about.
I mean, it's for patients and it's for my mentees. Right? We all have to be able to advocate for ourselves. There's nothing wrong with that, right? So asking questions, we should not feel as doctors or providers of care, we should not, or attendings that are teaching, we should not feel offended, right? It's all in how you ask, right? It's in communication. It's in the professionalism, right? This is what leaders do for their mentees. I have mentors and they teach me how to walk with integrity, right? Say what you mean and do what you say, how to be professional. We're always being challenged to have these types of skills: compassionate, caring, kind, a listener, right? And so these are all skills that I definitely teach my mentees. It's not just about the book work, because these are skills that will carry you when you're in your third and fourth year of medicine in medical school. You have to interact. We have to have a bedside manner, right? And so that's with any profession that we're in, regardless, right? We have to know how to talk to people, how to listen. Being a leader, I charge myself with that every time I'm introduced to a mentee, regardless if they come into my office for a few days, a month, a summer, or the year.
Excellent. If you could make any recommendations to someone who's thinking about going into medicine, what would you advise them at this point? Again, with trends and what's been going on with just the healthcare field, especially post-COVID, what would you advise? What would you say?
I would say a lot of things, but the podcast won't allow that. So I am going to pick 2 words. I'm going to pick mentorship and networking. Do not stay in your apartment. Do not stay isolated. Get out, meet people. I always tell my mentees that mentorship is multifaceted. You want to have mentors of different ethnicities, different backgrounds. I have a spiritual mentor. I have a business mentor. I have a medical mentor. And you want to stay connected. You want to reach out. You want to keep them informed about how things are going with you. You want to attend learning communities, meetings. It could be that one person who can get you a rotation or an internship with someone who could write this outstanding letter of recommendation for you, who can vouch for you, who's sitting at the table, who knows your name and can put a recommendation out there for you. Mm-hmm. How can you gain that if you stay to yourself?
Right. So that's the networking is so very important in that mentorship. I call it like having a board of directors. And on your own board, you're your own company and you're your own brand and you're your own future in whatever career that you're going to be in. So getting a board of directors that's diversified in these different areas is so critically important.
Well said.
Thank you. So let me ask you this. What are you reading and watching? What do you do in spare time when you're doing all of these other great things? But what are you reading and watching?
Oh my gosh. I am not one to right now to read a book cover to cover. I am reading about things that I enjoy. So for example, I love to garden. I have been on garden tours, Toledo Day Nursery garden tour. I have big gardens. I start them. I do all the work with my gardens. I'll leave it there. So in 2020, I started with plants. And so I'm the mother of, I always say, over 100 houseplants. 50 of them at least are in my own home, and then the rest are in my practice. And so I'm always reading about plants, right? And gardens and shrubs and all of that. I also am very passionate about just reading about skincare. I mean, it changes so often, and we're getting new technology, and I do a lot of writing for media, and I have to be, current. And so I love to read about wellness and food and exercise and all of those fun things that I didn't have the opportunity to read when I was raising my 4 kids, who are all young adults. I have a devotional. Jackie Hill Perry just released one, and I don't know if you know her story.
Yes.
She said she was not a huge fan of devotionals, and God told her to write one. And so I love her devotional. I think it's a great way to start my day. So I kind of dabble in lots of different things. I don't watch TV. In fact, we have one in our living room, and so that I'm not a real fan of that. I may watch a Netflix movie every now and then, but I love to just kind of dabble in different things. I've been traveling a lot, so I read about places to visit. And so just kind of a mix of things.
That's great. Well, my last question is, because your skin is beautiful, and
Thank you.
What advice would you give to anyone who's wanting to take care of their skin? So
I learned this later in my career. Wear sunscreen, regardless of your skin tone, regardless of the melanation of your skin. Wear sunscreen, because we know that all skin types are prone to skin damage. And while people with darker skin tones may not see fine lines and wrinkles, we definitely will see uneven skin tone, hyperpigmentation, melasma, which is a type of aging of the skin, right? Dark spots. And so sunscreen use and reapplication will help prevent that. There are lots of different types of sunscreens on the market. You can buy a moisturizer with SPF. You can buy a sunscreen that has antioxidants in it, like vitamin C. You can buy a sunscreen that's tinted, and so it looks like a light makeup. Or you can buy a sunscreen that strictly has the requirements of filters against UVA, UVB, light, water resistance, etc. So that's the one product that I would say everyone should use. And the market now has products that blend well, again, into all skin types. And so we have no excuse anymore.
That's excellent. And with that, I'm going to make sure that I go out and really read those labels. I can't thank you enough for all the advisement you've provided today. And so appreciate the fact that you're taking a leadership position in trying to help the next generation of students. So thank you.
Thank you for having me, and thank you so much for the encouragement.
And for those that are listening all over the world and through our states, please make sure that you're sharing the information, taking the time, a lot of great advisement. And until next time.
The Pen Leader podcast is hosted by Dr. Shanda Gore and brought to you by Mays & Associates Ltd, creating customized solutions for growth in the areas of leadership development, strategic planning, and culture building. Find out more at www.maysassociatesltd.com. Don't forget to subscribe to the Pen Leader podcast and share with others.